And I forgot to mention, but in case you're wondering what kind of paper I'm using a marker paper. And the reason I'm using a marker paper is not to actually apply marker, but rather marker paper has a nice tooth to it, which results in a really nice feel to the pencil as it's applied to the drawing. So I actually really like using pencil on marker paper. Vellum is kind of the same way as well, but just find what works for you and use that, and you'll be in really good shape. Okay, so here my pencil is now flat, and I need to show just a little reflectivity, okay, on this support for my band. And turning the pencil on the side also gives me an opportunity for some subtle shading as well. So here, for example, as I'm blending, okay, I can come in with my pencil like so. If I want to show a reflection in the case on the top, sometimes I like to outline that with my pencil. And then on the opposite side of my reflection, kind of shade in just a little bit of darkness. And that'll kind of help obscure some of the detail on the inside as well. But I'll try and pull that through where it makes sense, okay? And just blend this dark line back, nice and easy, nice and light, okay? Light till you get it right. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and sketch in the rest of my hands that are actually showing here. And I've got the second hand. And the hour hand. You can go even as far as adding a little bit of shadow underneath the hands if you want. Just make sure that the direction of the shadow relates to your light source. Okay, you don't want things to be too confusing as they are presented in your drawing. And a little bit of shadow here on the inside of my bezel, and do the same thing on this side as I go around. In the opposite direction. And to really get the pencil dark, especially if you're using a Prismacolor Premier, just some nice pressure on that pencil, okay? And that'll give you the effect that you're after if you're trying to just get some nice value shading in there. You can also use your very thin pencil to crisp up lines. It tends to hold its point quite a bit more than a regular Prismacolor Premier pencil. So in that regard, it is pretty handy to have a very thin if you're trying to just get some nice crisp lines. Okay, so now I'm going to start drawing my linkages, okay? A little bit of shadow in here to separate those, and then let's just get this edge in. Okay, so my first linkage would be something like that. Okay, we'll shade that in as well. And I'll have a little bit of shadow, or shadow core rather, on this part as it rounds down. Okay, same thing on the top, right here. Okay, and I want these middle linkages to be kind of a matte or different material. Or not different material, but different finish rather. So to do that, I'm going to actually go ahead and shade in the whole thing, like so. A little bit darker on this side, of course, and then right on the part that rounds back into the rest of the band, add a little bit more line weight, or pressure on the pencil rather, and that's going to give me the impression that this actually does wrap into the band, into the other links on the band. Okay, little gap there, little gap here, very subtle, but will help those forms really read. Same thing on the top on this side. And for this link, similar thing to the other link, just a nice base tone. A little darker here. And yes, I just made a sound effect. I don't know if the video will pick that up, but sometimes as I draw, I get a little carried away and start making sound effects. And that's okay, right? The point is to have fun with what you're doing, okay? Because when you're having fun, it'll show in your work, right? If you're struggling or you're not really having fun, it'll really show in your work as well. Okay, nice gradient through here on the side. And the reason I'm putting a gradient on the shading on these sides is that whenever you have two surfaces meeting together and they change direction, one of those surfaces needs to have some pretty good contrast to the surface next to it, okay? And that's going to help communicate to our brains as viewers that there is a certain three-dimensionality, because that is what we see in real life. So a lot of drawing really is about interpreting and capturing what we see in reality and quickly symbolically representing it. Okay? And that's one way to kind of think of drawing. Alright, so just a couple more details here, and I think we'll be in a good place to stop. I just want to bring out these little details on the front here. And maybe just a little subtle shading or tone on this first linkage. Okay, it's still light, but I'm just adding a little bit of shading there. And some details where our pins would be. And on the back side of the watch, okay, that we didn't entirely finish out. And it's okay if we didn't finish it out entirely, because again, what I'm trying to do here is get a little bit of an atmosphere to the watch so that I don't have to go render the whole thing out, okay, because that takes a lot of time. And I'm sure you guys don't want to see me draw for 2 hours necessarily, but just kind of get the general message. Maybe you do want to see me draw for 3 hours, but we're not going to do that here today. super helpful if you can. Get a really nice sharpener. I'm using an X-Acto sharpener. It's right here, and it is pretty awesome. The one thing I don't like about it is it doesn't have an auto stop, but I'll put a link in the video so that you can purchase one if you want. I think it was 15 or 20 or maybe $30, but in any case, it is fast, it's quick, it reliably sharpens my pencils, and I love it. So I'll post that link in the description, and if you guys want to get one, you totally get one. I think it's totally worth it. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and cleaning up a few things here. But as you can see, pencil is a really great tool. You can get a lot of values out of it. The important thing with pencil, if you haven't yet, check out my video on how to sketch with pencil, but there's some general do's and don'ts. Like, you don't want to get too fuzzy with the pencil as you're sketching. You want to keep it nice, crisp, okay, nice and lively. But pencil is really great, like in this case where you just want to show value and kind of obscure the details and give an impression or sense that the rest of the design is done without actually drawing every link and every detail. I can just do a nice value shade, okay, and with a couple little value hints here and there, and fade this out. You know, give a sense that the rest of the watch is there, but you know, the details of this aren't as important as the front. So within the drawing itself, you're creating a three-dimensionality or dynamic within that drawing, which is a powerful tool as you're working in a two-dimensional medium like pencil and paper to communicate three-dimensionality. Okay, so I'll go ahead and punch my line weight in a couple spots, especially toward the front here. And again, that's just that's me blowing on my paper. Blowing on the paper helps me get rid of some of the extra pieces of lead that necessarily come off as you sketch with pencil, and you don't want those smudging your drawing, right? Okay, so a little line weight here, like so, and fading that line weight out will help create some emphasis toward the middle of the sketch or sketch page. Okay, so this is about where I am going to call it good for today. Hopefully you guys were able to learn either from watching or listening to some of the advice that I presented. But in any case, as you can see, there's a systematic approach to generating a concept sketch using pencil. It's always helpful if you can to use some reference. So, you know, if you've never done a watch before, take a look at an actual watch and see if you can interpret what the main parts are and represent those realistically using your pencil and paper, pen and paper marker, what have you. Thanks again for watching on Sketch a Day. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you to those who have subscribed. I've seen an awesome uptick in subscribers, so I appreciate it. But just go ahead and click the subscribe button, and that way you'll be the first to know when I post a new video. And also it helps support me in this effort on this channel. You can also find me on Instagram if you want to see some other stuff that I'm doing. I'm at sketchaday.com, or you can find me at facebook.com/sketchaday to interact with and see me post some other stuff there as well. I'll be starting up soon a Patreon account where you'll be able to support or help support Sketchaday and the effort that we're putting out here to help me continue doing this. I would love to. I have some big dreams and big ideas, and I'd love to be able to accomplish some of those things with your help, of course. And again, I appreciate all the support that you've given me. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on Sketchaday.